I actually have not even taken this out. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't want to put this in the crease necessarily, you know what I mean? Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 winter palette picks. I love doing these kinds of videos seasonally. I'm a very seasonal person, so like I go through my collection and I'm like, what palettes do I want to use more throughout this season? Even though I kind of go back to like the same palettes any time of year, to be honest. I don't really care. But I just thought I would show you my top picks for winter palettes. Apologies in advance for the same outfit, same makeup look for 3 videos in a row. I am saying that in every video, but I'm sorry, I have to say it. If you want to see my top 10 picks for eyeshadow palettes for winter, then just keep on watching. I'm actually going in alphabetical order, just so you guys know. It's not gonna be like ranking them or anything. So when I think of winter palettes, I think of like cool tones. I think of blues, purples, just very cool tone in general. Like my makeup look today, I just think of winter and as a whole. I don't know, that's just me. I don't know if everyone thinks that way, but that's just what I think of. So all these palettes are going to have some sort of like cool tones, blues, that kind of thing throughout them. So yeah, the first palette I have is from BH Cosmetics. This is the Passion in Paris palette. I actually bought this with the Party in Puerto Rico palette, and I actually preferred the Puerto Rico palette. I don't know what it is about this one. I kind of had a little bit of trouble, but ever since that video, I've been using it and I love it. I love it. I love these tones here. I also think of cranberry tones, by the way, when I think of winter for some reason, like because like the holiday season, I think of cranberries. I don't know. So I thought that this would be perfect because it's got the blues, the very cool tones, but it also has the cranberries. To me, this is a great winter palette, and it's a palette I'm going to pull out a lot throughout the winter season. If you have it, I urge you to do the same. This is a great formula. I had struggled with it at first, like I said, but it actually ended up working out for me. I love the shade right here. Isn't that so pretty? It's got like a gorgeous shift to it. Got a really nice silver here. I think BH is like one of the best quality eyeshadows, especially for their price. I love the mattes in here. They're great. They're a little hard, but like they're pigmented. They're not hard in a bad way, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I just really like the color story of this palette. I love the formula and I love that it's affordable, so definitely recommend it. Keeping with the affordable theme, I have 2 e.l.f. palettes here. Obviously one of these is a bonus because otherwise it would be a love-in palette, so that just doesn't sound right? So I have the AIA palette and I've got the Carnival Candy, I want to say. So actually this one has a bit warmer tones in here, but anything with blue, I just love. I love this blue so much. It is so pretty. These e.l.f. bite-sized palettes are literally perfection, especially for the price. I believe they're $5. Some of them are $6 now. Look at that blue. This is like the epitome of winter right here. If I had to choose one over the other, I would say the AIA, especially for winter. I love that you can create a really nice cohesive look with both of these because you've got a light matte, a deep matte, and then 2 shimmers. In this particular palette, one of these shimmers is a little bit like muted. It's not like a crazy intense shimmer. In this one, there's 3 mattes and a shimmer. I really like but even though they're not cool tones, like I'm talking about, like I want cool tones, you know what I mean? They're still really, really pretty. So love this. I love the formula of these. I think they're great, especially for the price, but not just for the price, like they're just great quality in general. Next we have from Morphe Cosmetics, the Blueprint palette. Now this is the newest palette in my collection, literally, because I bought the Morphe Cosmetics mystery bundles and this was in it and I fell in love instantly. I love the blues in this palette. Now this is like a lot more warm tones, so I'm saying cool tones, blah blah blah, but I'm talking more about the blues in this palette. I think I'm gonna be using them a lot. I love this blue over here, epitome of winter to me. It is gorgeous. I put this in my inner corner and the look that I did with this palette in that video. The only thing about this palette is that there's only one matte. You might be looking at it like, oh my god, that's way too dark. Look at how intensely pigmented that is. That is insane. What I did though when I created a look with this palette is I took the matte and I really lightly fluffed it in my crease with a very, very fluffy brush. Very, very fluffy, so that it would kind of sheer out and be like a transition shade. And then I deepened it out with that same shade with a more dense brush, and that worked really, really well. I love the formula in this palette actually, and some people have said that they don't like it. I really enjoyed it. I think the shimmers are very gorgeous. They're stunning. Honestly, they're super crumbly metallics. I love crumbly metallics. So this is a palette I'm going to be pulling out a lot this winter. If you like blues and if you like neutrals, I would definitely go for this palette. I love that you can create like a neutral with a pop of color, just a neutral look, or just a blue look. Love it. amazing. Moving on, we've got a Morphe palette. This is the Morphe Sweet Oasis palette, which I also did review this year. This is the epitome of cool tone blues, perfect for winter. I think it's great. So we've got some pinks in here as well, which, I mean, cranberry colors, that kind of thing, but the cool tones, the silver and the blues, I love it. I don't know, I look at this and I think of winter, so I had to talk about it. The only thing is, the formula in here is okay. It's not the best. It's not the worst Morphe formula by any means, like not even a little bit, but it is just Morphe formula, you know what I mean? You get what you pay for. It is a very affordable palette, and it's also a big palette, and I know a lot of people don't really like big palettes like this. I think that it's a great palette for the price. If you're a beginner in makeup and you want like a lot of options and you want to experiment with colors and whatever, I definitely recommend checking out Morphe. And this is a great one to do so during the winter time, because you've got your blues, you've got your cool tones, and I like it. I did do a 2-look swim palette with this palette, I'm pretty sure, when it launched. I do have a discount code with Morphe where you could save $5. It's not an affiliate code, so I won't make a commission, but if you do use it, I would appreciate it, because it kind of lets them know that I sent you that way. So yeah, I definitely like this palette, and I recommend it to beginners who want to experiment with different colors, especially pink and blues. Okay, we got a couple of Natasha Denona palettes, and the first one is super holiday appropriate, I feel like. This is the Cranberry palette. I really like this palette. I think it's gorgeous. I love the formula in here. The mattes are so soft. Butter, that's what I think about when I like swatch these. I'm running out of places to swatch. I love the shimmers in this palette too, like they're so intense. I think that this is a great formula from Natasha, and these are like a little bit bigger than her mini palettes. This was actually on sale at Sephora when I bought it, and that's why I bought it, and I believe that it continues to go on sale. Look at those swatches there. I love the shimmers so much, and I would definitely recommend it if it goes on sale at Sephora to pick it up again. And the other Natasha Denona palette I have is the Glam Palette. This is the palette on my eyeballs today. Talk about cool tones in the winter. Definitely. This is definitely it. This is one of the newer palettes in my collection from Natasha Denona. I actually have not even taken this out. Oh my gosh. I've used this quite a few times though since I did buy it. I think that this is a neutral cool tone lover's dream. Obviously, if you like more warm tone, I definitely recommend getting the bronze palette instead. That's like the sussor palette to this one. This is the cool tone. The bronze palette is obviously the warm tones. I just see a lot of cool tones for the winter time. That's just me. The silvery tones in here. I love the formula, obviously, of Natasha Denona shadows. If I were to pick one or the other, I would say this one. It is actually a little bit more expensive, but you get more shades. I love the midi sizes of Natasha Denona palettes because you get a bunch of options, and the pan sizes are smaller than the big like $129 palettes, you know. She did a great job with this palette. The only thing I don't like is like the names confuse me in the sense that like I don't want to put this in the crease necessarily, you know what I mean? So crease, lash line, blend, smoke, center eyelid, like I don't think, whatever, you don't have to follow that. But cool tone lover's dream, great formula, absolutely love it. Next, I have a couple palettes from Pat McGrath. You know I had to do Pat McGrath too. The first is the Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad in the shade Interstellar Icon. Fun fact, this was my first ever Pat McGrath palette. My hubby bought it for me last Christmas. Love the packaging, kept it in the packaging. First ever Pat McGrath palette besides Divine Rose 1. Love it. And I believe this is still available, but this was from holiday last year. So if it's still available, it won't be for a long time. So I definitely recommend picking it up. When I look at this palette, I think winter, mostly because of the blue. But you've also got like this cool toned shade over here, really pretty. The only thing about this palette is that there is no matte. I definitely have to dip into other palettes in order to like actually make use out of this palette. There's something special about this palette, and it's not just like the emotion behind it, that the fact that my hubby got it for me, but I don't know, I see this as such a fun celebratory palette. The formula is really good, and it's a fun little quad, and the fact that it's limited edition, I definitely recommend picking it up because I always get FOMO when I don't buy limited edition products. But that's just me. I love this palette so much. And then the next Pat McGrath palette I have is Mothership 1, of course. This has the epitome of cool tones and blues, exactly what I look for in a winter palette. This is winter in a palette, obviously, right here. Gorgeous. Ew, why is there a hair in there? I love this palette so much. Now you might think, oh my gosh, those are very deep shades. I love that there's a black. The black is not that intense where you have to be scared of it. You can like take a light hand and it won't be as bad, I promise you. We've got like the nice neutral like transition shade and deepening out shade. I love the blue. This is when I want to like when I'm like, I want to do a blue smoky eye, I come to this one. Like, just look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I just lust over this palette so much. I think this is a very underrated palette. I don't think a lot of people, like, this wouldn't be a lot of people's first choice if they were ranking, which I do want to rank my Pat McGrath Mothership palettes at some point. I don't think this would be their first, like, a lot of people's first choice. It probably won't be mine, but it's definitely going to be up there. I really like this palette a lot. I love this for the inner corner. It's got a gorgeous silver to blue shift. Oh my god, I love it. When I think of winter, I think of this palette. Next, we have the Urban Decay Wild West palette. When I first got this palette, they didn't send this over to me. I was like, I don't really understand the concept behind it, and I still don't. I don't understand the concept behind Wild West palette, but I really like the blues in here and the cool tones. We've got a couple of warm tones as well, but like for the most part, it's a very cool tone palette, and I think of winter when I think of this. I love this shade right here. It's a very nice cool tone transition shade. You can deepen out with this one. My hands are full of swatches. I'm so sorry. I'm a hot mess in this video. I also really love Cowboy Rick and Bud. I wish Bud was a little more intense. Cowboy Rick is one of those intense metallics that I really like. It's like crumbly. Contrary to popular opinion, I really like the formula of Naked palettes in general. I think that they're better than the other Urban Decay formula, like when they collab. It's not as good of a formula as the Naked palettes. I think the Naked palettes are very good, especially if you're a beginner at makeup and you don't have a lot of makeup in your collection. I think owning a couple of Naked palettes is all you really need because you have a bunch of options in here. You can do a warm tone look and you can also do a cool tone look within this palette, which is amazing. And I just think it's a really great palette for winter, and it's one that I'm going to be pulling out as well throughout the winter time. And then the last palette I have is from Sigma. I actually have used this palette just a few times, but I thought I would throw this in here because of the cranberry tones in here. This is the Sigma Rosie palette. I actually bought this because of the collab with Samantha March, so I thought I would support her. I like this palette a lot as like a neutral everyday palette. I'm thinking about doing a Shop My Stash series next year where I just pull out a bunch of palettes for like a month or so, and I tell myself that I'm gonna use herb products, not just palettes. And I'm telling myself that I'm gonna concentrate on using these products only. If I have to dip in my collection, then I will. And I think that this would be a great start because it's January, is the winter. This is like, I think of very winter appropriate. I don't know, I think of Rosie cranberry tones as winter as well. Personally, I do. And this is a palette I haven't used as much, and it's a great way, like doing a Shop My Stash type video would be a great way to go through my collection as well. So I'm thinking about doing it. I like the formula of Sigma eyeshadows. I think a lot of people like are like meh about it. I think the mattes are really pigmented, but they blend out easily, and then the shimmers are good. I think they're good. They're not like my favorite. They're not like Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona, but I think this palette's really cute. It's small, it's travel friendly, and it's a palette that I want to use more, so I'm definitely going to keep in mind to pull this out a lot more throughout the winter. If you own it, I urge you to do the same. I just think of winter when I think of this. I also think of spring, I'm not gonna lie, so this might also be in my spring video, but whatever, it is what it is. And yeah, okay, I think that's all of the palettes that I want to talk about today. So those are my top 10 winter palettes. Let me know some of your top picks for winter eyeshadows. I would love to know if you agree with me, if you disagree, like what you think of a winter palette, and let me know like your top pick. I would love to know. And yeah, that completes this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Being with the affordable, I like the midi size of Natasha Denona palette. The first is the Celestial Divinity, and then the next Pat McGrath. Let's let the airplane go by. Rude airplane. I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that's all the palettes that are my winter picks. What?